Okay, so then we move to the Banks Peninsula Community Board. Christine, good morning, welcome. And looking forward to hearing what's happening on the peninsula this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Good morning, everyone. So we have three things to highlight this morning. You're right.
Good. Just click on that. Yep.
Good. So the first being the Birdlings Flat Community Centre, the opening of that. And then we've got our reserve management plans. We've just got a wee bit of an update on that. And then we have a plea from the Seafarers Association. So to start off with, here's the facility that's just about ready to be opened, and the residents and the community of Birdlings Flat are absolutely thrilled about this new facility. It's been a long time coming and it's been hard fought for. The name of it is Te Mata Hapuku, and it's going to be open on the 23rd of June. The successful build for this is a culmination of strong community and Christchurch City Council collaborative process. The build itself has been completely project managed by the community, and with the support of a local builder. So the facility itself will be council owned but community managed. So it's a real team effort. I think really the community needs to be congratulated for such fine effort. The council contributed $180,000, but the Little River Wairere Community Trust then took up the baton and fundraised the $200,000 that was needed on top of that, so that was a great effort also. The ongoing costs to the council are minimal as it's going to be community run, so I think there's lots to celebrate that, and you're all invited. Also a reminder that you're invited to attend the opening. It'd be great if you could come along and support the Birdlings Flat community. So I'm sure that you would have seen that invitation come through your diaries or something like that. Good. Right, the next is our reserve planning on the Banks Peninsula, reserves planning. So we have Misty Peaks in Te Oka in Urumau. So the Misty Peaks is the background to Akarawa, and Te Oka is close to Little River. And Urumau is quite a big reserve behind the Lyttelton township. So we'll just go through those one by one. So Misty Peaks Reserve, it contains small blocks of old growth and red beech forest in the outer bays. The high tops are mostly clothed with snow tussock and regeneration indigenous montane forest. There's a high potential for native vegetation regeneration. So with all of these reserves, we are going out to do community consultation just to see exactly what they'd like seen done with them. And Misty Peaks and Te Oka currently do not have management committees, so that's just a process that needs to be worked through. The Te Oka Reserve is about 7 hectares of old growth of podocarp forest, which is remnant of the original pre-European forest that once dominated Banks Peninsula, so less than 1% of that remains. There's a considerable amount of totara regeneration with trees 3 to 5 metres high scattered through both the Tumbledown stream and the Te Oka Bay stream valleys. So there's a bit of work to be done there. Urumau Reserve, so this just shows the 10 areas which comprise Urumau, and it is a reserve that does important work. So we have quite a big committee there that looks after Urumau, and they concentrate on the plant species and using locally sourced plants for that reserve. And this particular reserve is highly used by walkers and mountain bikers. So that plan has just been updated at the moment. Our next item is the Lyttelton Seafarers Centre. So at the meeting on the 22nd of May, there was a deputation to the board. So what the Seafarers are looking for is support for an implementation of port levy. This is basically to help support the running of the centre that is quite vital to the seagoing men that come into the port. So they basically are supplied with an area where they can go and make contact with their families. They have computers. If they need to exchange money, they can do all of that. Here's a photo of some of the men. Lyttelton's always provided a Seafarers Centre, but after the earthquakes we lost the one that was there, so we had the men actually sitting outside the library, even in the winter, trying to get Wi-Fi. So fortunately we now have this facility, but it's not on a permanent property, so that's another part of the problem. So, and also it's all done on voluntary, it's staffed by volunteers who can't always be there. So what it means that we've got this lovely facility, but it's not always open because there's a shortage of volunteer support. And so the seafarers are really looking to see how they can get support for a levy, so they can look at maybe putting a manager in. So this all comes in line with our obligations to support the Maritime Labour Convention, which was just adopted in March of this year. So we do have a responsibility to these men, and it's quite, we see a lot of them coming into Lyttelton, as we've done over the years, and all they basically want is somewhere where they can go and connect into their families, connect home, and so that's what that's about. So I was away for that deputation, but I believe it was really, expressed quite, well, there was a lot of concern about what's happening there, so that's it really.
Great, thank you very much indeed, Christine. And the board actually asked for some further work to be done and report back on the Lyttelton Seafarers Centre issue.
Yes.
So that'll be an ongoing conversation. But yeah, quality of welcome for those visiting seafarers to Lyttelton certainly was something that the board were concerned about. So we'll now move to questions. Tim and then Dion.
Thank you. With regards to the seafarers area,
Yes.
could the LPC not clip the ticket with regards to the berthing costs and put a bit on top, so that then funds the centre? Because, I mean, we have a responsibility, but I would suggest that their employers have a larger responsibility, and as soon as they enter New Zealand waters,
Yes.
it should be leveraged.
That
because
would be.
we have a finite amount of money, we're having trouble housing our own people, and it just keeps going and going. So, I mean, just thinking outside the box perhaps and going back to the source.
It's the levy
What's that?
Yeah, that is the levy that they're asking for. That would be the ideal if that could happen, but I think they just would like, board support.
So as a council, how do we move that forward?
That's exactly the information that's coming back to the board, and certainly what was proposed by the Seafarers Centre was a levy on visiting ships, exactly, Tim, as you're proposing, rather than that council should fund this particular facility. At the moment it's on land that's owned by independent fisheries. That's an arrangement which is great for the moment, but may not be able to continue long term.
But there are two issues, aren't there? One, that the land's a separate issue. If we can get a leverage off through the Lyttelton Port Company on the berthing of ships, then that solves that funding problem.
Indeed.
And the other problem is a land issue, which is technically, I suppose, for want of a better, is the board's or ours.
Yeah, and that might be an area where council can assist, but certainly on the levy, what the board has asked for is information to come back on how that could be achieved, and the thinking would be exactly as you suggest, that it would be a levy on visiting ships.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Dion.
Thank you.
Is there an internet cafe in Lyttelton?
No,
It's the library.
just the library.
Just the library?
Yes.
Because that could be actually self-sufficient, these things, they always require money, but we've got to think about ways to make them self-sufficient. And I mean, when I was on ships, that was the first thing we did go and look for, was an internet cafe, go have a latte or a beer or something like that and get on the internet. So,
Yes.
I mean, is that an option that's been looked at?
The library's free.
The library's free, and I think before the Seafarers Centre was developed, this was the reason they were going to the library, and after hours they were sitting outside just to pick up on the Wi-Fi, so it was an accepted thing that was happening, but yes, at the moment we only have the library as the other alternative. So, you know, the volunteers that they have got down there are very good, but I mean they can, you know, obviously it's hard to get, you know, X amount to have it open 24/7. So, and they've got to have training and, but yes, it's certainly one of the things that most seafarers want to do, like you say. They want to get ashore and just, you know, make contact with their families, and so it's really important. We do have a duty of care. It's the first time I've ever known, well, before this facility was developed, that Lyttelton didn't have a Seafarers centre, so this is what created the problem with them sitting outside in the cold. So.
Thank you. Dave and then Phil.
Thank you. More of a comment than a question. Councillor Scandrett talked of imposing a levy on shipping coming into the port to perhaps assist in the provision of this facility. Conversations I'm aware of at times is that a number of shipping organisations, particularly some of our fishing operations, actually go to Timaru because the cost of berthing at Lyttelton is getting increasingly higher. So we need to be mindful of the fact that we can't just sort of simply say, well, the ship's coming into port, we can impose a levy on them. We have to be mindful of shipping movements around the South Island and the perception that at times the berthage charges at Lyttelton are quite high, and a number of shipping firms actually choose to go to Timaru because of that. So we don't really want to further exacerbate shipping companies not choosing to go to Lyttelton as a consequence.
Yep. So it's, I mean, Dave, that's a fair comment, and I mean, this is exactly the kind of information the board expects to get back, rather than just making a decision to do something or to advocate something straight away. We felt there was a need for further information to be brought back. So thank you very much for that comment. And then finally coming to Phil.
Thanks, Christine. And like you referred to the Te Oka and Misty Peaks management, which is part of parks. Yes. I just want to ask you about other areas which are owned by private landowners, because yesterday at our ITI committee we recommended actually setting up of it's a biodiversity fund for to I guess to well, part of it to clearly to enhance the environment, some of the gullies, fencing off, planting, that kind of thing. So I just, without, I'm aware your board won't have had a chance to discuss this, but I'm just wondering if you think that your board might support such a fund.
I can't see why not. Yeah, and I think that, well, I can't speak for everybody, but I think it's something that they would be open to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks. We could have further discussion too. Thanks, Christine.
Yes, cool.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I'm now happy that we received the community board report, so I'll move that. And do I have a seconder? Pauline. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Thank you very much, and thanks, Christine, for the report. Good to have you with us.
Lovely, thank you.
And then